Being in a photo of somebody else is honestly, in my opinion, a little bit of a red flag. People try to negate their bad skincare with a ton of Botox. That's one of our biggest pet peeves is we wish we could get them on a good skincare regimen and they would probably not feel like they needed Botox every 3 months on the dot. I want them to see your lip filler or your Botox. I want them to really see your beautiful, radiant skin.
Megan and Lauren, welcome to the Device Girls.
Yes, welcome. We're so happy to have you guys.
We're so excited to be here. Thank you.
Of course. Megan and Lauren are both aesthetic injectors out of Tallahassee, Florida, and we are so excited. They actually also host a podcast called Fill and Tell, so you should definitely head over to their page and check them out. They have so many things going on that we're just going to deep dive into today. They have a skincare line called Do State, which we're going to talk a little bit about. And then, of course, the podcast, and then all the exciting new things to come in their life in regards to a practice. All right. So can you guys introduce yourselves a little bit? Tell us about your background into aesthetics, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm Lauren. I have been an injector. This will be my 5th year. I've been a PA for 10 years. I just recertified, which seems so crazy that I've been out of PA school for that long. So my background was originally in orthopedics and surgery. And then at about year 5, I transitioned into plastic surgery and aesthetics, and then went to full-time aesthetics probably 2 years ago now. I'm Megan.
Awesome.
Love it.
I'm Megan. I am originally from Orlando, Florida. I went to FSU and then somehow found my way back to Tallahassee after graduating. I've been a PA for about 6 years now, and I actually stumbled into plastic surgery and aesthetics from the start. I got really lucky, and the local plastic surgery group was hiring, and so this is my first job out of PA school, really doing plastics at first. And then when Lauren came on, we just saw how much Tallahassee needed boldness and vulnerability in the aesthetic world, a lot of transparency, and we just clicked. And that was probably 2021-ish when we kind of started thinking about ways we could do stuff together. And from there, we've just really taken off and built aesthetics.
That's amazing.
So awesome.
So what led you exactly? Where did the passion come from? Megan, you started right off the bat, but Lauren, what led you to okay, I want to step into this side of the industry?
So I think I was really big into skincare in PA school. We kind of both had this follower that we loved, Jordan Harper. She kind of introduced us to skincare. And so it was always really interesting to me, the beauty space, the fashion world. That's kind of always been something that I've been interested in. I started in orthopedic surgery thinking that I was just going to hang out with the boys all day long and, prove that I was this tough girl. And I moved to Tallahassee, actually met my husband in orthopedics. He was my boss. That was a whole big ordeal. And so because of that, I had to kind of be okay, let's kind of shift avenues. I still wanted to be super technical, wanted to really be able to use my hands and everything like that. And it really led me into plastic surgery. And then aesthetics just kind of fell right behind that.
I love it. Megan, did you know that you wanted to be in aesthetics right off the bat? Or
No, not at all. Not at all. I knew I was moving to Tallahassee. And so I knew that as a new grad, I had loans to pay and I needed to find a job. And so I said, it really was a blessing. It fell into my lap. I actually did not want to go into surgery out of PA school because I had some just bad rotations and experiences in the OR. And I was well, it must all be like that. And so I really wanted to just be clinic based. My background was in dermatology. So
Okay.
it fell into my lap. Back in 2020, also, I don't really feel like aesthetics was as big as it is now, or maybe I wasn't as into it as you, your world kind of shifts as you develop different passions. And so I was like heavily involved in plastics, and aesthetics was kind of in the background. And then really I feel like Lauren was the fuel to the fire, and we complemented each other so well because she was like, you need an Instagram, like you need to be posting. And for a while, from other like life personal things that had gone on, I was actually not on social media at all. And so she developed her Instagram. We had ideas that we wanted to do together about transparency and just educating the local community about aesthetics. And that's really just where it bloomed. There was no point in time where I was like, I like want to do filler or Botox. And a lot of my classmates were actually really against like specializing. They were all like going to get a job in the ER or primary care to, I guess, just kind of continue that education and not sort of niche down. And I didn't necessarily care about that. So I was looking for jobs everywhere, but it fell in my lap, and I could not be more thankful for the journey and the path, especially because I was like, how am I back in Tallahassee? I never thought I would end up back. And so life just takes you, and God has a funny way of working things out.
He does.
Yeah. So what made you guys like just go, okay, let's start a podcast? Like, how did that come about? Because I mean, I know we talked about it for like a year, so I want to hear y'all's story.
Yeah, we talked about it for so long. It was definitely when we started on our Instagram, we started a little series called Aesthetic Tips. And every week we would put out an aesthetic tip. And that really, I think, is what helped to grow our community and grow our Instagrams, is because we were showing up every week and sharing this like 60 to 90 second tip, like what to do after Botox, like how to prepare for a laser, just like things to expect and unexpected things. And it really, I think, fueled a longer form content. So we wanted to be able to really, I mean, Instagram hates, I think, things that are over 60 to 90 seconds.
Yeah.
So we wanted a way to kind of just to like share more and really connect with our patients and audience and community a lot better. And so, for a full year, we discussed it, talked about it, and then we started brainstorming, coming up with the name. And, there was like 25 names we had on our list. And just kind of really got into it.
You guys have kids? Any kiddos yet in the picture?
My husband has a slew of children, so that I'm married into, and I love them like my own, but there's 4 of them here, so yes.
So do you think it was harder to, then that's a little bit hard, but I literally think naming the podcast was harder than naming my own child. Like that's how we went back and forth.
I feel like Megan is very detail oriented, analytical, questions everything. I am kind of just like I don't think I'm go with the flow, but I am not like, I can make a decision very quickly. It took us a very long time to come up with a name.
That is so funny because I am like Megan and Sarah is a lot like you. Like we talk about this all the time. She's like, oh, well, yes. And I'm like, wait, I need to think about this like overnight and then I'll get back to you. Like I have to analyze every scenario in my head.
Yeah.
And then I'll let you know.
I think you probably need, if you're going to have a partnership, it's probably best to have one of each.
Yes.
Because
you complement each other.
Definitely Megan is a lot more thoughtful in the decisions that we make and can kind of point out red flags. But if we need to get something done quickly, then I'm probably the person who's going to pull the trigger and move. When we decided to leave our job, I like called her and I was like, okay, we're doing this tomorrow. And I had to.
Oh my gosh.
But it was a thought that had been in our minds and conversations we had talked about for years. Yeah. And then really in the last year when we got bought out by private equity, and then even meeting with other people and, counsel and stuff in the last like 6 months. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she called and she's like, we have to do this week. Like, let's prepare. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay.
I
Oh my
love that.
gosh. That's
Okay.
crazy.
So talk about this, because like we need to get into like due state and all the things. Like, what sparked this? What got you guys where you are now? Let's dig into it.
I'm loving the unemployed series of
Yeah,
like
I am
getting
too.
to like, now you guys are literally showing the real life, the real grind of, okay, we literally quit our jobs and this is going to happen.
Now
And like,
what?
watch us build. And it's so fun. Like, that is like, it's awesome.
It's so funny because somebody came up to Megan and asked her and was like, is this just like a marketing ploy? I was like, no, we're actually not working. But I'm glad that that's how it's translating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, you're
Yeah,
good.
Lauren and I
That's
thought
funny.
that we would be able to see patients in the second week of January, and it's now the second week of February. So this is very real, and there are definitely like ebbs and flows. I think ultimately we are excited and we just really want to see our patients and get back to injecting. But to go to one of your earlier questions about due state, we love skincare, like Lauren mentioned before, and we are very skin forward in our approach to aesthetics as a whole. We really feel like it's sort of like your building block and your foundation. And so in every consult, we kind of start with that. And we really like pride ourselves on what skincare we use as well. And so ultimately, due state was birthed because we wanted the ability to sell that skincare online, even though it was already being sold at the med spa that we worked at, give or take a few different other lines. But it has quickly become something that we now can grow into, like within aesthetics as well. We love the name. We feel like it definitely radiates everything that like we want due state to encompass. When you feel really good in your skin, you feel good inside. At least for me personally, I know when I'm having a breakout, I just am down on myself. And so and your skin is just a really easy way to see like what's going on inside too, gut health, things like that. So anyways, that's kind of like the background of due state. We also were I think it was a phone conversation where we were like, okay, now we have fill and tell. We need to like start due state and we need to continue pressing forward. But skincare has always been at our forefront. And we did not realize that it would actually be trickier to get into e-commerce because it's not our own skincare line. It's just lines that we believe in and love. So I think that's a common misconception too. I had a patient reach out to me and she's like, you started your own skincare line. And I was like, no, we just carry products that we love that you can buy online. So if it's a Sunday and you run out of your favorite, Pavis cleanser, you can pop on due state and get it online. And then of course, these are lines that we'll carry when we're brick and mortar.
Okay.
No, I love that though, because like I had one product that like I went to my derm and I freaking love it. Like it's a sunscreen, but I was like, where else can I get this? Like I have to come back to you every single time I want to get this thing. Like, I don't go to my derm that much. So I love that you guys are like providing a platform for people, like no matter where you are, to get these products that like you love, other people love, and like you don't have to just go straight to like the source,
And was that a hard process for you? Like having that communication, getting that set up to be able to collaborate with all these brands, like start your business?
Yeah, it was definitely more difficult than we thought. We had to get a medical director to be able to carry some of the lines. We had to kind of explain what we were doing a lot more than I necessarily thought. It seemed like a very easy idea that we had come up with, but apparently, a lot of people have a full standalone medical aesthetics practice or plastic surgery, dermatology, and that's how they sell their skincare. And we didn't have that. So we were kind of going in like, we want to sell this. We're professionals, like we are, work in this space. So, but it was a very difficult concept for a lot of people because we weren't a huge warehouse. We were really shipping from our homes and like packaging everything. And so we kind of had to work through some of that red tape
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a few brands or lines that denied us. Yeah, which we were shocked by. Not because we are like the greatest. We were just like, we would love to carry your line. We use it.
Yeah.
We actually even included it in our first photo shoot and got these like amazing images. And they were like, unfortunately, like no. And Lauren was like, and they were like, again, no.
How rude! Oh my gosh! Yeah, that's crazy. It is like.
What is the reasoning behind that? Do they just like exclusivity or what?
I think it was because a lot of them, we had no background. We had no history of sales. We had no reason for anyone to believe that this was going to be successful other than what we were telling them. And I think that just as much as like we wanted to carry them, they wanted their line to be successful as well. And so I think they were just like, because these girls are just completely random and have no background, like, no, we're not gonna risk it. I think we'll be in a different position moving forward now that we've done it for a little while. And so I'm hoping that when we get to a point where we want to bring on something else, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys are PAs, but like develop the rep mindset, and no is just maybe later. Just keep going. Yeah. That's so funny. How do you feel as though your podcast helped really establish that community and just like better understanding of skincare as a whole to when you launched Do State, you had a lot of translation from Phil and Tell.
Yeah, we wanted them to kind of live together, right? And that's how, when we had started the podcast, we were like, okay, we're talking about skincare. We're talking about all of these things. We need somewhere to send our listeners to purchase. And so, of course, we're still very like local. So I think most of our listeners are local people, but we wanted people to listen to us and then have a direct access to products. And so that's how I think the two really marry well together. We try to remember when we're doing podcasts, especially about skincare, that we, shout Do State out. They can sponsor the podcast. We are looking to have, trying to figure out how to grow. So we're giving codes and things like that so that they can kind of marry together and really translate easily.
I love it.
With Phil and Tell, you asked about community, and I just wanted to touch on that because I feel like over the years we've been able to develop a small, loyal but local community, and it really started from Aesthetic Tips. I think that was how we even had the idea to do a podcast, and that we thought maybe it would be successful because we would like Lauren said, we would go on there every week. We would do an aesthetic tip about skincare or injectables, what to look out for. We definitely put ourselves out there in terms of trends and trying to show our personality. There were a lot of times when I made Lauren do something she probably didn't want to do. But it gets the laughs. Those are the ones that like don't necessarily build your community, but it sort of, gets the likes. And then just through that, every time a patient would come in, they would be like, I loved that video. I saved it. That, that trend you guys did was so funny. And so we slowly built community through there. And then now that we have Phil and Tell, I feel like we have those loyal subscribers and listeners, which is just so cool.
No, I really love that. And I think it's so important, when you're building a brand to also be building that personal brand and like showing your personality. I will say, I think one of my favorite videos, trends that y'all did was the running in the parking lot one. I died. I thought that was so funny. It was so good. Like just to get to know some of like the nuances of like things that you like and like what makes you you is so fun,
That video probably was the video that finally made us a lot like nothing is off limits with us. You can ask us anything and we'll talk about anything. That probably was what sparked that.
Yeah, I loved the unhinged like comments to each other. It was good.
So since like I know you guys love talking about aesthetics and stuff, let's like kind of get into that a little bit. Like we have a few questions. So let's just kick it off like right off the bat. What is the biggest misconception like that patients have about injectables?
I'll take it. That they all will look fake.
Yeah.
We hear that. I mean, there's not one person who comes in that doesn't feel like they need to give a disclaimer of, I want to look natural. I don't want to look
Yeah.
fake. And I think that that's a huge misconception when it comes to injectables. And it's totally because of TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and what we see online, because you do see the people that have taken it way too far. You've seen the people that have taken it too far with plastic surgery, injectables, everything. And so you're getting this really misconstrued version of what aesthetics is. And that's where we really just tell patients, like, pick your provider based off of their aesthetic and obviously their education, their background. But a big telltale sign is how they look, is because what they translate as beauty and natural is how they will translate it to you.
Yes. I love that, actually. And I think that that's really true, because there are some out there that are a little bit, overdone. And if that's the look that you're going for, then that's where you should go.
I mean, by all means, but it's not for me.
What would you say is like good advice on like vetting? Obviously, the social media side, what they look like, but maybe other avenues for vetting out the provider and understanding their technique, style, all of that.
I think that social media is actually such a great source for looking at the provider, seeing if you connect with them, maybe even on a personal level. Do you feel like you guys would vibe? But looking at their before and afters, because is that something you want to look like, essentially? Do you like the way they do lip filler? If you want really big juicy lips, but you've never seen them post a juicy lip, well, that might not be your provider. But also what's really important to Lauren and I is continuing education. Aesthetics is ever changing and ever evolving. And so keeping up with not necessarily the latest trends, but things are just always changing. There has been, for instance, a huge outcry about this injectable called PDGF. And so the more you educate yourself around good, bad, is this even, can we even inject this? It keeps your patient safe. And that's definitely the most important thing. And so in order to keep our patients safe and looking the most natural, that's super important to us, we continue our education. So, and really, I think that always goes back to what they kind of post on their social media. I hate to say that would be the end all be all, but it's almost just, it's a free source of how to put yourself out there. And it's almost like a resume, if you will. It's your portfolio. And so we try to do our best to be look, we've gone to this conference, not just to post it, but because we truly care about going and educating ourselves. But then this is a picture of the lip filler we did. So it really is just, a highlight reel, of course, but it's a look into that injector's life. And if you think that they would be a good fit for you, because I think they need to be a good fit for you as a patient, but also as a provider. There are people we say no to. And I think when it's a great fit, you're going to have a great outcome.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me has been with my injector. I freaking love her, but it's how does your provider sit and listen to what you're explaining? Because I can sit there and tell her first time I went to her for my lips, which I did the same thing as everyone else. I want to look natural, whatever. But I told her and she's like, hey, look, whatever you're comfortable with. She's like, and she's straight up with me. She's like, I really don't think you need much here. Or even with getting dysport and stuff in my forehead, she's like, you don't need much here. Or I was talking to her about enhancing other things. And she's just like, I could do a little bit. I could do more. I think it's so important. And I don't know, maybe you guys have more experience with this than I do, but I think sometimes people go in asking, and maybe there's some providers out there that are better than others at really trying to figure out what the patient is wanting, essentially.
Do you like pictures? Is that a really good way for a patient to say, hey, I really like this look, here's why? Or is it more no, you don't look like that. So let's talk about what you do and don't like on your own face, and then let's go from there.
Yeah, I think that bringing in a photo of somebody else is honestly, in my opinion, a little bit of a red flag. Just because we're all so very different and it is impossible to give you that same result. Now, I love using my own before and afters as portfolio to say, this is what this patient came in, these were the concerns, this is the outcome,
Yes.
how does that look to you, or are you okay with this? But I find that there is a little bit of body dysmorphia when you bring in, Haley Bieber's face and say, this is what I want.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be disappointed and I'm going to be frustrated.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I love that. So what is your kind of walk me through if I came into for a consult, like what can you just walk me through what your consult like tactics and techniques are?
Yeah, I think that this is really where we focus a lot of our time and effort is in the consult. It's one of my favorite appointments, and it's the appointment that sets you apart from other injectors because that's where you establish a really good relationship with that patient. You find out who they are, what their job is, what they do for fun, do they have kids, and it seems like those are like really personal questions, but it gives you a look into what is their morning like? How much time do they have to spend on their skincare? Are they the CEO of a company who's constantly in front of people? Therefore, we don't have a lot of downtime. So they seem really personal, but it really gives you a look into who that patient is and how can you best, provide service to them that's going to match their lifestyle because we're all different. I can walk around with a beat up face and not think twice about it. And it gives me a really great talking point for patients. But other people who are, doing big bank transactions and all of these other things, principal of a school may not want that as their topic of conversation.
Yeah.
For me, before we even get into like the science of the consult, like it's really a way to connect and figure out who you are. And then we dive all the way, skin all the way to bone to figure out exactly what's going on.
I love that.
So when you're talking to a patient, because I'm assuming a lot of your patients come in and they're not educated on the aesthetic side or just medical side of this industry. So when you're kind of walking them through the science, what does that look like?
Well, you don't want to. I've found through the years that if you sort of talk at them and just say all of these fancy science words, it just really goes over their head. So visuals are really great, like Lauren said, showing before and afters and kind of being like, this is how a true cheek filler would look like. Your fat pads have descended. You can sort of say things that they can think about and understand, such as like, you used to be more full here and now you notice that there's hollowing. Well, that's because this fat pad has descended. This nasolabial fold is actually a symptom of, again, these fat pads descending, things like that. Have you noticed that your jawline isn't as structured anymore? That's because our bone resorbs and things sort of fall forward. When you tell them science in a way that they can visually see on their face, I think it is very helpful for them to follow along. So while we want to keep things anatomy and science based, because that's it, I mean, this is medicine, you definitely want to say it in a way that they can understand and that they can get on board with and be excited about. Because this is all, them even stepping into a consult room, I do really think is the hardest part. I think about when I have to go to the doctor or even something I'm excited about. Like typically I'm excited to go to my therapy appointment. I feel better after I go. But getting there, I'm just like, should I cancel? I don't really feel like talking today. And for them, that's so vulnerable to go in and say, I've noticed some changes and I'm looking to correct them. Because not only does it kind of suck to talk about yourself in that way, but two, you're trusting somebody, with your face. And so I think science is great and we definitely do that as well. But there's all of the levels kind of go together. And so you try to mesh them in a way that gets someone excited and not scared, but that they truly understand why we need to focus on the temples actually, instead of the lip filler that you want. to make your face look cohesive and, harmonious to your age too.
How do you feel as though you guys both, what do you do to bring comfort to your patients when they're in that like vulnerable state and like sharing these, insecurities they have with themselves, like during a consult? How do you bring them comfort in those moments?
Yeah, I think that, Megan makes a huge point. It's super vulnerable to be there. And I think just reassuring them that it's okay to have these concerns. And that's really where you bring it back to their lifestyle. What do they do for fun? And kind of relate, how do you feel internally with how you look externally? And if those aren't jiving, then they can kind of understand that better, especially in our more mature patients, right? They can feel a certain way, but it's not translating in the mirror. And so we really want to just bring them confidence so that it matches their internal state. And so, there's a line that you don't want to cross of pointing out a bunch of flaws on somebody. But also our goal is to keep you looking as natural as possible. So therefore, I can't just let the 55-year-old who's never had anything done only get lip filler, because now we've made it way worse. We've made something really stand out when nothing else is cohesive and nothing else looks like it should be there. And so you have to give patients education in a way that it looks the best. So I just really try to reassure patients that this is the place to bring it up. We're all human. We all go through these emotions. I try to share personal stories and just say, this is a safe space and this is the time to bring it up and let's get it out there. And then we kind of go from there and truly just trying to make you feel as confident as you can.
What is so the aesthetic industry as a whole, I mean, I think a stigma around it is the probably the costly nature of the aesthetic. And so let's break the stigma on why and break down. I love what you guys do on some of your posts, just breaking down, what, if I think about like my skin, taking care of my skin or a vitamin or whatever, like breaking this down, this breaks down to X amount of dollars a day type of thing. So what is your like talk track on explaining that to a patient where they actually are like, okay, yeah, I'll justify this?
Skincare is kind of easy, I feel like, because skincare cost per use is very, very easy to translate. I think we're the, right? Because you can see plated, most expensive product that we use, one pump is a Starbucks coffee, right? Like it's a lot. But it's definitely when you can kind of understand, and that's where, again, our portfolios work great because you can see and translate what the skincare does. I think the more costly thing that we do is obviously all of our injectables and laser treatments. And it's difficult sometimes to justify the pricing for patients, especially, new moms and moms in general feel really guilty about splurging on themselves when they have kids and they have sports and they have all these things. And so it is hard. And I think that you have to provide value to the patient, right? Like it's not normally about it's too expensive. Is the value worth it? And that's really where your before and afters are huge, right? Because I have seen firsthand, Megan's seen firsthand, the transformation that people will feel outwardly when they've invested in themselves. And especially when that result is amazing, it's invaluable at that point. And they would have probably spent 10 times that amount to feel the way that they do now. And so you have to create value for your patient. And that's really what I found. It's not about the cost, because half of our patients, like, we know that this is luxury medicine, and this is totally elective, right? Like if you break your leg, it's not elective. You have to have it fixed if you want to walk. But these are elective procedures. And people have the choice to go anywhere. So you have to create value for that patient to be able to translate, I think, really well.
I wanted to add on another reason why Lauren and I are so passionate about skincare is because we have found that when your skin it looks hydrated, it's glowy, there's not a whole lot of pigmentation, we can decrease some of the fine lines just through skincare, say retinol, then you typically find that you are almost needing less injectables, if you will. There's always going to be those anatomical changes that we are going to try to correct. But, if you're taking care of your skin, if you're wearing your sunscreen, you might not have as many deep static lines. And so maybe we need to bring the Botox dose down a little bit. Another thing about Lauren and I is that we're going to treat you to correction. So typically it's going to be a little bit more upfront. And this is what I'll always explain, but that will get you farther than having to come in every 3 months on the dot. Typically our Botox dose, we're not going to play around with, we're going to give you the dose that you need, but typically that's going to last you 4 and 5 months. And so our patients aren't coming in for Botox every single quarter. They're coming in every 4 to 5 months. And then with filler, we're going to try to sort of do some form of facial balancing. And again, once you like your result and we are both on the same page with that, then we don't have to do more filler for years. It's more upfront. And I totally agree with everything that Lauren said. It's also about comfortability and making those injectables stand out so they feel like there's a reason behind the money they're spending, but also doing it the correct way the first time. Same with lasers, doing that one laser, just taking that week off of work, then you don't need another one for over a year. Typically, we live in Florida, so things are a little bit different with the sun, but that goes to your skincare. I feel like skincare is everything. And we've just found, even within our own skincare journeys, that when our skin looks good, we in our minds, we feel like we need the injectables less. When my skin looks good, I'm like, oh, I don't notice that line as much, and I can put off my Botox for another few weeks.
100%.
It's so true. I mean, I feel as though I wear so much less makeup just because makeup and even injectables as well, just because I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable in my skin. So I think it's so funny when there's just such a stigma of, well, you're not natural, right? Because you put things in your face. Well, sure. But I mean, I think I'll actually argue I feel more natural. I feel like I'm able to show up more authentically myself because I'm just happy with that,
Yeah.
So I love that.
One of our biggest pet peeves is when people try to negate their bad skincare with a ton of Botox. That's one of our biggest pet peeves is we wish we could get them on a good skincare regimen and they would probably not feel like they needed Botox every 3 months on the dot.
Yeah. Okay, wait, this brings me to a really good question. And you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but can you please debunk this, or let's freaking talk about it? Because I've seen it all over social media and it's all about how filler stays in your face and all these MRI scans that they're doing. And I don't even know exactly what it said, but it's so funny because I've had men talk about it. That's so bad. But so please, can we talk about this? I want to know.
The men commenting, it's one of my biggest pet peeves because I think that goes into a whole nother thing, right? Some man telling you what you should and should not do to your body is the biggest turnoff. And that I think I really try to empower my patients to make decisions for themselves because you have free will. But I think that I find this to be a super positive thing. Yeah. Filler being in your face for that long is amazing because you just spent $5,000 on facial balancing that I absolutely still want to be there in 2 years, because who wants to spend that much money every single year replacing something? It's just not necessary. So we have to flip the script. This is not a negative. Filler staying in your face is amazing. Yeah. HA filler is a natural substance that's found in all of our bodies. We have natural HA, and you have a natural enzyme that breaks it down over time. So the way that filler is made is it's a synthetic form of hyaluronic acid, and your body will naturally break it down over time. But it just doesn't happen as fast as we once thought it did. And so we're seeing this retention of filler 5-10 years later, which I think is phenomenal, because I'm going to have to get less and less over time. I probably had 10 syringes of filler, but I probably now get 2 syringes a year. And if that, even if you need it, I might not need it this year at all, and I'll do it next year. So I'm here for it. I think it's great. Let it last as long as it can.
Yeah, I haven't had, before we just recently did a little of my chin, I hadn't had it in 2 years. We've done my jawline, a little bit in my jawline once. Another note about that MRI is that they showed the MRI image, but they didn't show what the girl actually looked like. She looked phenomenal. Like, I don't know how it got so twisted on the internet. I know exactly what you're talking about, but the lady looked great. She did not look overfilled. She had been getting subtle, tasteful injectables for years. I think the MRI was put out there to I don't know if it was for fear mongering. I can't remember the exact original post, but quickly things can get twisted on the internet. But I wanted to point out that the lady actually looked fantastic. She didn't look overfilled. And I think just like what Lauren said, it goes to show that going to an expert injector makes all the difference too. And I want mine to last as well. I don't want to get poked by a needle in my face.
I know, same.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, do you guys think that this feels good? Because I can tell you it does not.
Do you think it's fun for me?
Yeah. Like, I'm squeezing the shit out of that stress ball that you're giving me. Like,
and we are not immune to that as well as injectors. I don't love getting my Botox done. I love when it kicks in. So
me too. Me too.
In the face with a needle. So if we can do that as least amount of times as possible, that I'm all in.
The lips for me, those are real nippy sometimes.
Okay, and what the heck? I saw that you let Lauren do that without being numb. Was it for? It was for dissolving, though, right?
It was for dissolving, which she's psycho.
Still.
I don't do to my patients, but I was in a hurry. I didn't want to be there long. I just wanted it done. It was a terrible mistake. It took longer not being numb than it would have to just get numbed up to do it.
Oh my God.
And I ended up having to use this really cold blower, which actually made my swelling way worse. It was a bad move.
Bad move. Okay. Well,
we have kind of perfected a really good dental block to do filler. So typically our patients aren't feeling that at all. They're actually feeling like a little silly because their mouth is so numb, even sometimes their teeth. But I would rather my teeth be numb than feeling a needle go into my lip as well.
True. Yes, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about lasers though. Okay. So what are the treatments that are y'all's favorite that you recommend? How often do you recommend them? I'm really excited to learn a little bit about y'all's practice.
I love lasers. I love skin treatments in general. I think Megan is probably right there with me. But my favorites that I've had done, I think, are a BBL. I have freckles. I'm a freckly girl. And so BBL or IPL all of those spots away. And so that's been one of my favorites. And then a resurfacing laser. So Cool Peel, Helix, Halo, Moxie, those are all the resurfacing lasers that we've used. And they are transformative. Even on the lowest setting, they just make you feel so good and your skin is so smooth and glowy. And those are probably the biggest bang for your buck for sure.
Okay. What would you say the downtime is for those?
I think it's variable. I just had Halo done on Sunday. So it's been 5 days. That's 5 days. And I would say my true downtime was 48 hours.
Okay.
meaning that was when I felt like the redness and the puffiness the most. And that's really going to distort the way your face looks a little bit. So, so you can have, I would say standard 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
And then we can obviously crank that up and get you a week of downtime if we're really having to correct a lot. But I mean, I don't think that most people would know that I got a laser done a week ago or 5 days ago. So it's pretty quick.
And I think it really depends on the person too. In our experience, I've noticed that the darker hair, my sort of complexion, darker eyes, they don't tend to swell as much as your blue-eyed hair.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I wanted to say that BBL does not stand for Brazilian butt lift. It stands for
I was a little confused for a second. She was like BBL freckles, and I was like, what?
Okay, those don't match up. Yeah. It's a light laser.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gets rid of all the browns and reds.
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah. So
okay, go ahead.
I forgot what I was saying about what was I talking about?
Oh, the people who swell.
Oh,
redheads, blondes, blue eyes, super fair skin, they swell a ton.
So we're gonna add on a few days of downtime truly for them from swelling. Again, Lauren and I, we're in this space, so we really try to put ourselves into someone else's shoes. Like my mom goes into an office every day. She does not want anyone to even know she had a facial, so I have to, you really have to maneuver around that. I really do believe in, and I know Lauren feels this way as well. I would rather you take off a little bit of time. Let's do it on a Thursday or Friday so you have the weekend to heal. And let's do at least one resurfacing laser per year. It is so great for stimulating collagen, for skin tightening, for pores, for texture. But to go back to your question overall, lasers are so diverse, and I think that's why we love them. We love the BBL Moxie for the fact that we live in Florida, and it's so great for pigment issues, rosacea. We see a lot of rosacea and redness on the skin. But then I could never give up a resurfacing laser because we've seen just such amazing skin glow and transformation from that resurfacing the top layer of skin and having it heal back. And it's kind of just, you feel like you have new skin, which who doesn't want baby soft skin?
Yeah,
absolutely. You've said it. You've shed off bad, and like, here we go.
So what is, like, for both of you, number one treatment you could not live without, holy grail, like take you to the grave with it?
I think we'll both say the same thing, but
you want to say it together?
Yeah, let's say it together and see if we say the same
thing.
Okay, 1,
2, 3.
Botox.
I love it.
Okay.
I think that we're going to say that this patient does some good skin care.
Okay.
Botox is the biggest game changer if your skin care is on point. It's quick. It's relatively low risk. It's it lasts for a really, you get some good longevity out of it, and you can treat the entire face with it. So you're getting this really nice cohesive look. You're getting smooth lines. You're getting some lifting, some tightening. It's just, it's definitely, I think, the one that I would never give up.
Same.
Okay. What do you feel as though, so like Haley gets Dysport quite a bit. I actually got Dysport the last time I had some, I went in, I had some Dysport, and that was my first time. I feel like because I actually get Botox for my migraines as well. So I've been getting Botox since I was like 18 years old because of that. And I'll be 30 this year. So that's like, I feel like that's a long time to do that. But I feel like my body has just started to like the Botox, I feel like it wears off faster, or maybe doesn't take as well.
I think that that's happening more and more.
Okay.
It's happening for a couple of different reasons. It's happening because the most common thing is because people are not waiting long enough in between treatments. I find this a lot with my migraine patients, actually. They'll get migraine Botox, right? They're not doing any cosmetic Botox. So they're not really thinking about that toxin being present in their system. And they'll come see me a month later for their cosmetic neurotoxin, or 6 weeks later, or 2 months later. And so your body is constantly being exposed to this toxin, and it's building up antibodies to it so that it sees it as foreign and can attack it and get rid of it. So the biggest thing that you have to be very mindful of is making sure you're getting all of your neurotoxin at almost the same time. So my migraine patients, I'll have them get it done. They can come see me a day later, because you're introducing that toxin. You want all of it to be introduced as one, and then let it all wear off before you reintroduce it again. That's the biggest reason that I've seen. And then there's some other medical reasons that it's happening as well. COVID is a big one.
Yeah, I've experienced this myself personally. Specifically, it was with the brand name Botox, and I think that there's a lot of chatter online about the brand name Botox specifically being a little bit more resistant. I don't know why, but with COVID, whether the antibodies made a difference, we don't really know. There's been a few papers out, but people have noticed that their Botox isn't lasting as long. Now, I prefer Botox over Dysport or vice versa. I want to do whatever my patient wants, and of course is safe for them. And then usually on younger patients, I actually gravitate towards Dysport. Older patients, I do Botox. It's not like as tight, would you say? Or opposite?
I think that Botox doesn't spread as much. And so older, more mature patients that have some skin laxity, you're able to be a little bit more precise with them. Dysport for younger patients, it's always a slam dunk. I feel like it kicks in really quickly. It lasts for a while, and you can tolerate the spread a little bit more. And then we like Daxxify as well. Daxxify is another neurotoxin that we use quite a bit. And so those are probably our three favorites, but they're all the same toxin at the end of the day. They're all botulinum toxin type A. So if you're resistant to one, you're likely resistant in some form to another. And so that's where you really have to, I think, your dosing schedule, that's the first place I tell patients. And that's the first place that I look when we're talking about some resistance.
Okay. I love that you said Daxxify. That is actually,
I want to try it.
One thing
that's on my list.
When did you start using that?
Daxxify.
When did we start using it?
2 years ago.
Yeah, my most recent toxin was Daxxify, and because I am a little bit more resistant for whatever reason, because I've always followed a good schedule. I actually, you would think we would be getting it every 3 months, but we actually probably wait the longest, longer than our patients. I mean, sometimes we wait 5-6 months. I've specifically waited 6 months and made sure all of my neurotoxin was gone, and, tried other things. Anyways, I recently got Daxxify. It's been like 4 or 5 months now.
It did really well.
There's a little trick that has kind of come to light. And if you put Hylenex, which is the ingredient we use to dissolve filler, if you put a little Hylenex in each area that you're injecting your Botox, it helps the
carrying capacity.
Yeah, it helps bind the neuromodulator to the muscle and those synaptic junctions that sort of paralyze the muscle.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different resistance. You either don't get the toxin to the muscle and there's too much washout, or the receptors have other things that are attached to them, and so the toxin can't attach to the actual receptor. So we just have found that helps it to get there and to bind a little bit better.
Amazing.
I'm learning so much.
I know. This is awesome.
Okay, so
let's talk a little bit about your journey into self-employment and brick and mortar ownership, entrepreneurship.
Yeah, what is next for you guys? Because we know, and share it only as much as you want to, but our listeners have no idea what y'all are doing. So
yeah, I mean, our next plan is to open a medical aesthetics practice. That is our goal moving forward. And we truly thought like we said at the beginning, we thought we were going to be seeing patients and open. We always knew we were going to be in a temporary location, but we thought for sure we would be seeing our patients as normal a month ago. And so anytime, y'all know this probably at being reps, and I don't know if you have non-competes, but like there is always like legal involved when it comes to leaving something and starting something else, especially in the same area. So we're navigating that with attorneys on both sides and just trying to, come up with something that's going to work well for all the parties involved. And that's what's the delay. That's what's holding everything up, is because we're trying to be mindful and not trying to step on toes and end up in a bad situation 6 months from now. So we're kind of just taking our attorney's advice and just playing this waiting game.
Yeah.
But that's our plan. Our plan is to see patients and to open our practice and to create something that Tallahassee doesn't have yet.
So can you talk a little bit about the goal and the mission behind your practice? What's going to set it apart? I've heard a little bit and I'm so excited, but I want to know the whole.
Yeah. So we want to bring something that Tallahassee doesn't have yet. All encompassing. It's a place that you feel comfortable, that you want to be at. But it's a place that you also feel safe and know that you're getting the right care. And by all encompassing, I mean anything that you think of when you think of aesthetics and wellness. So we sort of want our patients to be healthy as a whole, and that they just like want to be at.
Yeah, I think that really what's going to be the biggest difference is the experience. So when you come in, I think that this is where, medical offices can sometimes get things wrong, right? Like they can be very sterile. They can be very, they can just feel really tense and tight. You want that patient to come in and be greeted by somebody who's going to automatically make them feel welcomed, make them a latte, give them a beverage, like let them peruse the before and afters, go wash your face, try a new cleanser. Like you want this to be a really nice experience for the patient. And then you just want it to be like no other place. And that's really, I think, what we're bringing is the experience value. And so then they come back and they're getting a full skin analysis. We're taking photos. We're reviewing everything. We're doing a full consultation and creating a year-long plan for somebody. And that's really where I have found in aesthetics that a lot of people miss the mark. Is it's just whatever the patient comes in for, here's the delivery, and then they get to go. Yeah. And this is just not like that. This is not, a 7-Eleven. It's a,
Carlton.
It's a Four Seasons experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Lauren said earlier, it's luxury medicine. So this is all elective. We want people to know that we care about them. And so also within follow-ups, I think this is where people get it wrong. We want to reach out for you on your birthday. We want to, be able to give back to our really loyal patients. Just switching things around like Tallahassee has never seen, based on experience that we've felt in the past 5 years in our space. And it also goes into leadership, how Lauren and I want to lead a team, the visions that we have, the growth that we want Due State to have ultimately, and kind of the 5-year plan of what we hope it to become.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So how does Due State kind of fit into all of that too?
Yes. And I mean, Due State is kind of where we took the idea. I mean, again, because it starts at skin. Truly, like our mission is to make your skin the most beautiful and radiant possible, because it's what people see. And so Due State's mission is to create radiant skin, right? When you feel good in your skin, then that's that outward appearance. It's so funny because I have patients all the time that I'll see out in public and they're like, your skin looks so good. I thought it was always a filter when I saw you online. And so, which is a great compliment. And
Right,
so
absolutely.
that's really where we're going to kind of take that mission of Do State and put it into, our aesthetics practice, is because that's where it starts. And that's what people see. I don't want them to see your lip filler or your Botox. I want them to really see your beautiful, like, radiant skin.
Mhm.
Well, I'm so impressed by what y'all are building and what you guys are doing. And I feel like you're really bringing voice and just perspective to this side of the industry on
And value.
Yes.
A lot of value.
On a more vulnerable level. And I mean, I'm so excited to see where y'all's new practice goes. I mean, I was telling Haley, like, we're gonna have to take a trip to Tallahassee.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I truly believe, like, you guys are just stepping out and being so bold. And I think you're really thinking, like, patient first, like, and with that aspect in mind, when that's the goal, I think you guys are really going to set a new standard of aesthetic care, not just in your community. I think that will start to radiate and tenfold, probably across the country. So congratulations on what you guys are doing. I'm so excited for y'all.
Thank you so much. You nailed it. We want it to be patient focused, and we just want to bring the community together. Our main goal all along has been to educate with vulnerability and put ourselves out there and try to show that we get Botox too. We don't like needles as well. We are real people. We want to be your friend. All of the things. We are injectors and this is our job, but it also is a passion of ours. And within that, we make so many great connections. And that's what also kind of fuels the fire, is just giving women the confidence and the skin that they deserve.
Oh, we love that.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you guys both so much for coming on and speaking with us all about Fill and Tell, about aesthetics, all the things. So is there anything that we haven't touched on that you guys want to say, or do you have any last piece of advice or piece of wisdom maybe for people listening, tuning in?
I think that the biggest thing too, that maybe that we didn't talk about, and Megan kind of touched on it, is that it's intimidating to get at some of these things done, but we are out in the community all the time and we love talking about it. So we're normal. We like to go to the bar. We like to get a cocktail. We like to go to Pilates, where you can find us at local coffee shops, and we're outside living. I showed up to meetings this week, with my face red and puffy, and it just, we are right there with you. And so I think just kind of again, trying to humanize injectors or medical professionals, because we all are human. And just to kind of lean into Instagram as a whole. It truly is, like Megan said, your virtual portfolio, your virtual resume. That's a great resource for patients who are interested in these things. Absolutely. And I feel like you are going to connect with somebody and you're going to click with somebody, and that's really going to be your injector or your provider forever.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yes. I totally agree.
Entrepreneurship, go for it. This is something Lauren and I have prayed about and thought about for years, and we were diligent in waiting for the right time. But then just go for it, because it will be worth it, and it's so worth it. I've never once have I thought, oh, we shouldn't have done that. It's even with all of the legality and the pain points that we've hit, it's been nope, we're gonna trek forward and we're gonna do this. And it's really great to have a best friend in it. And so I can understand how it could be even more intimidating doing it by yourself. But if it is something that you want and you think about and you're passionate about and you've prayed for, go do it.
Right. Because there's never a good time to be unemployed. So, that was going to happen regardless. So whether it's now, 6 months before, there's always going to be something that comes up that you feel like it might not be the right thing. But, there's so many people out there and mentorships and leaders who are willing to kind of share advice. And I couldn't agree more. It's You
Yes.
do have to kind of have that very quick decision making and just go for it. If you're like, if you're 90% sure, don't wait for the 10. Just go.
Mhm.
Yes. I agree.
We couldn't agree more. Like that was literally like we talked about the podcast for a whole year, and then finally one day we're like, should we just do it? Like,
shit or
what
get
are
off
we?
the pot here?
What
Let's
are
go.
we doing?
You know,
Like just take the risk, and then we've talked with you guys a little bit about like other things, but it's just like just
well, and I think like too, and that's been the biggest realization of this, and I'm sure y'all can speak to that as well and feel it, that you don't know who that's going to impact. You don't know who or what person's life you're going to change
100%,
through your, ambition and your mission to, change a specific side of the industry and bring, your creativity and passion to life. So we're so excited for you guys and congratulations. Thank you so much for also joining us today. And we can't wait to keep up with you and see all the big things to come.
I know. Come to Tallahassee. We'll have you on Phil and Tell, and we'll make it a fun weekend.
Yeah.
Yes, that'd be so fun.
We got to plan it.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining, and thanks guys for tuning in. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.